So here's a prototype that I've been waiting to show for quite some time now. I got this about probably 3 months ago now, or actually maybe not that long ago. It was on eBay for about $30 from a completely random seller, just out of the blue. And I probably wouldn't have noticed that this was a prototype because, I mean, looking at this right off the bat, especially from a distance, you might not notice right away. But someone actually sent me the link to it and asked, is this a prototype? And I was like, obviously I noticed right away as soon as I saw the tag, like, oh yeah, that's a prototype. And part of me feels kind of bad that I just snagged it right away. But I mean, as soon as I saw it, I really didn't even think. I just checked out instantly, and I'm not even sure if I told him that I bought it. So if you're watching this, I do apologize, but I couldn't let this slip by, and it might have sold too, even if I did just message back, like, oh yeah. So I have it now, and it is indeed a prototype, and there are a ton of differences on it. So, yeah, I actually do have a ton to say about this. So, right off the bat, what I saw when I looked at that listing is this tag, and also it has this sticker. But before I actually talk about the differences, I want to talk about a little bit more how I bought this, or not how I bought this, but the awful seller that sold it to me. So, in the listings, you could clearly see the tag. Also, you could clearly see the retail price, the price tag on the tag, right? So you know that thing that sellers like to do where they'll cut out the price on a tag when they're like a reseller of like newer items. Well, apparently this seller likes to do that as well. And I wouldn't and okay, so I talked to Landon, right? And I sent this on Discord, and as soon as I sent it, there a bunch of people actually, but Landon I think said it first, was like, "Oh, in that last picture, where'd the tag go?" So I looked back to the listing, and sure enough, in the last picture, the tag just vanished, like into thin air. So I messaged the seller immediately, and I'm like, "Hey, I noticed the tag is missing in the last picture," and I'm like, I made up some dumb excuse like, oh, like I'm a collector, like there's different versions of the item, and if it doesn't have the tag, it's worthless, like it's super common, which I guess is true in a way, but I obviously didn't tell them it's a prototype. um so they're like, oh, okay, I still have it, and then they sent it. So I get the item, and sure enough, they decided to cut it, even though I clearly stated how important the tag was to me, and they had just taken it off, so I'm assuming they hadn't cut it up until that point. So they do agree to give it to me, but they cut it afterwards. And even though you could see the price in the pictures on their listing, like, it doesn't even make sense, their thought process. And then apparently, I didn't know from the pictures because they showed this they even had like a pen that they pushed it down so that you could see the whole thing. Like, they clearly showed this in the pictures. But then afterwards, they decided to rip off the sticker. So you can see now it's taped on because the seller taped it back on. I probably could have reattached it nicer, but I don't want to risk taking the tape off because it would probably rip off all the printing as well. So, whoops. So, yeah, as you can see, I actually printed out on glossy paper, just another like tag underneath it, and I glued it on top of this. Because the tag was also ripped where this went on, so that also doubled as another layer so that I could put a new thing on it. I had to use a tag gun to reattach this too because that was completely gone. So that made me pretty mad, and I actually did message the seller and asked for like a partial refund. I was like a full-on Karen because I just really didn't care, and I was really mad at them. So I did not get any money back because the seller just offered to let me return it, and obviously I'm not going to return it. I just wanted to see if I could get some money back. 'Cause, I mean, not that I needed money back, I just kind of mad at them, if I'm being completely honest. So, yeah, now I will talk about some of the differences that this has, and there's a lot. This is like a very, very early prototype. There's so many differences. So right off the bat, one thing I noticed is that this is completely hand painted, and it's also resin, if I click it, it kind of sounds like glass. It's really heavy too for a tiny little thing because it's resin. These eyes, if you look at them really close, you can see that there's a pupil in the middle of it. I think these are like moving monkey eyes. And it's like, if you feel it, it's like sculpted into the eyes, and they just painted it all black, and then these are hand painted onto the shiny parts of the eyes. Actually, I don't remember if the jacket or any of the clothing is different from the produced one. The produced one also has the button on the foot, and this has it on the hand. Okay, so I have a few more things to add as I'm editing this. Somehow I completely forgot to mention the coolest difference this has is that it has completely different programming where the necklace lights up to the words. The produced one doesn't even have a light up necklace. Second of all, the hand on the produced one, the right hand is completely just flipped upside down. And also, the produced one has way less detailed shoes and completely different shoes. The pants might be slightly different too, since mine has those tiny little string, like fabric excess on the side. And also the hat is completely different. Mine is way nicer and stuffed, and it's like a circle, almost like a sphere. When I play this for you, it will also, you'll notice that the audio quality is crazy low. It sounds like the speaker is going bad, but it's not. I put a brand new speaker in and everything. It's a perfectly good speaker. That's just how it is. This does have an EEPROM inside of it. It has one of those awful Sonex EEPROM modules. So this was one of the most difficult repairs I've had to do. It was glitching out like crazy when I first got it too. And also, I think part of the reason for that might be because there was a transistor on the EEPROM that was just like snapped. One of the legs was just completely snapped off. And I don't know how it worked at all without that, but I put a new one on and it's all good now. It has not glitched out on me at all since I got it back together, knock on wood, so hopefully it's all good. These Sonex ones are the ones that you really have to look out for. The usual EEPROMs, like in that Santa that I showed yesterday, those are like really good. Like, I'd be surprised if under normal conditions one fried. The Sonex ones, they're scary because I had those wind chimes too, and they actually had a Sonex in them as well. I didn't know what it was at the time or that there was a difference, but those, like, they glitched out like crazy too. So yeah. So anyway, I'll spin him around a little bit too. You can see I have a bigger zip tie around the neck, because I used the original zip tie from the bottom because I was able to salvage it for that, but I don't have small enough zip ties. Before I play it as well, and as always, there's a timestamp in the description for if you don't want to listen to me yapping about it. So the repairs I had to do to this, it actually did work when I first got it, but the arms are splitting pretty badly, and I also did just want to see what the board setup looked like inside anyway. So I opened it up, and the plastic was so brittle, and in the end, I actually fixed the entire thing with the original mechanisms, but then I got it back together, and there were just a few little things about it. It didn't work absolutely flawlessly, and I'm really, really picky. Like, if I ever traded this, no one would notice that it didn't work perfect, I swear, but like, I just wanted it to be perfect, so I ended up swapping out the whole mechanism, and I had to glue a bunch of stuff on the original one, and I just wasn't happy with it. I just wanted it to be perfect, so I ended up replacing the whole thing with another Frogs mechanism I had anyway. So it works really, really well now, and the big thing that gave me trouble when I was fixing this, though, was just the board in general, and it was such a pain. And this had the same problem that the other Santa I posted yesterday, the Wine Cozy. It had wires that were just soldered on awfully to the board, and it also has those super thin wires, like that if you fix one of these that they use in the back for the head, it has those like for everything on the Sonex, and they're all white and yellow colored. It's so dumb. And there's like 8 sets of wires. Like, it's crazy. But then the most interesting thing, actually 2 most interesting things, and one I can actually show you kind of, or I do have pictures, which I'll add in. So the side here, if you fix one of these, you know there's like 3 screws that hold the shell on there, and they all screw into the mechanism. Well, they literally just cut the shaft holder and the where the screw goes in, they cut it completely to fit another board in there, because these have a tiny board. It goes right here. It's about this big, right? And that goes right there. The Sonax itself is even bigger than that, and they put it right here. And then there's another board the size of the normal board that would go in one of these that's on the side where they cut out a spot for it. Like, it's crazy. Like, I swear, the people, like, there's a completely separate team that makes the board for these, and then there's another team that has to put it together, and I can't imagine that being easy. Like, yeah. And then 2 more interesting things. Actually, arguably the most interesting thing is I found a picture of an old woman with a bowl of apples inside of this. I kid you not, on the back of the mechanism where they glued 2 wires down, there was a nicely printed out, it was even nicely cut out picture of a woman with a bowl of apples. I found inside of a snowflake spinning Frosty, I saw a random picture of a Chinese guy's face, but this is on another level of just hilarious. I was literally dying laughing when I saw that, because this is also a handmade prototype. Like, you can't tell me that's a coincidence. Like, someone did that on purpose. Anyway, the last cool thing about this is that the Sonax is actually only wired up to 3 of these batteries. Like, you can see there's 3 batteries here, or there's 3 batteries here, and then there's this one. And if you wire up the wires to these 2, it'll use all 4, but the Sonax is only wired to this one and this one, so it only uses these 3. So if I take this battery out, the audio will still work, and none of the movement will work, because the other board for the movement is wired up to all 4. So that's a little interesting. I don't think I have anything else to say about this, actually, so I will play it, and I will also play it with that one battery out afterwards, so that you can just hear the audio. Then it'll be a little bit better quality without the motors going. So yeah, without further ado, here's the activation. Jingle bells, jingle all the way, yeah. Oh, what fun it is to ride in the one-horse open sleigh, yeah. Without passion, through the snow in the one-horse open sleigh over. The hills we go, laughing all the way. Jingle bells, jingle all the way, yeah. And like I was saying, I'm pretty sure it's this battery, not the first one. It'll still work. Jingle bells, jingle all the way, yeah. Oh, what fun it is to ride in the one-horse open sleigh, yeah. Without passion, through the snow in the one-horse open sleigh over. The hills we go, laughing all the way. Jingle bells, jingle all the way, yeah. And if you haven't noticed that jingle bells, jingle all the way part at the end, none of the produced items with this recording have that. It just cuts off at the last part. Anyways, I'll do one last little spin around. Just his normal tag. Don't think I had anything else to say, so yeah, here you go. Jingle bells, jingle all the way, yeah. Oh, what fun it is to ride in the one-horse open sleigh, yeah. Without passion, through the snow in the one-horse open sleigh over. The hills we go, laughing all the way. Jingle bells, jingle all the way, yeah. Right before that part is where it would have stopped, and also the belt just came off the arms. Just came off the mechanism for the arms. So that's really fun. I'll have to open it again, but at least it made it through the video. And yeah. So thank you so much for watching. And that's that. So thank you for watching, and goodbye. Okay, so this is actually really interesting. So if you look, there are 4 batteries here, and the movement board is wired out to all 4, but then the Sonex is on, it stops here. So this is the last battery that powers the Sonex, so if you just leave that one out, it just plays audio. And the movement doesn't work. What would happen if I just put the battery in min-activation? Probably shouldn't do that. But I just put it in there. You'll see. It all works. And then, oh, okay, yeah. It's really weird.